Welcome to Art Speak with Kate. I am Kate Brown. Come join me on a sneak preview behind the scenes in the local theatres to find out how the show happens. The Sid Williams Theatre behind me started in 1935. Then it was the Bickle Theatre, and it was a movie theatre. However, in 1968, there was a big fire at the Riverside Hotel right next door, and it nearly burned to the ground. But the community rallied around, and after a lot of fundraising, they raised enough money and they renovated the Sid into the Sid Williams Theatre, and it opened in 1971.
Sid Williams felt that, there isn't really a proper performance place for our many actors and dancers and musicians, and so the idea was, can we possibly convert this old movie theatre to something that people can use?
Named after Sid Williams, who performed and managed the theatre until the early 90s, the Sid has become the centre of theatre and entertainment in the Comox Valley. Now community theatre groups perform here, touring companies present, and the Sid sets the stage for events, lectures and films.
Some of the things that make this theatre special is the community has a real attachment to it going back to the 1930s when it was a live movie theatre. And converted into a live performance theatre, one of the big slogans of Sid Williams, who's the theatre's namesake, was total community participation. And that's really ultimately what's so special about this place today is the people on stage, the people who support us with their donations, the people who come and watch performances, and of course the performers on stage. And this, from the minute I moved here, I felt right away that the community was unique in the sense that there were so many people who were passionate about the performing arts here, compared with even Vancouver, where I live in per capita. There just seemed to be so much energy towards the arts, and a lot of it centers around this theatre.
Behind the scenes, Patrick makes sure the lights are up, the sound is perfect, and the show goes on.
When a show comes in beforehand, but even before a show comes into the building, I've contacted their production manager to find out what the requirements are as far as lighting, sound. I have to have the correct crew here waiting for their arrival. And then we do all the lighting hang, the equipment set up, and in often cases running the shows. But the quality that comes out of this community, Kortney Theatre has won numerous awards at drama festivals across BC. And these are people who just do it because they love it. They enjoy bringing characters to life, and whether they're in one production where they're on stage, the next one they might be backstage helping with hair, they might be running props, they might be doing publicity, but it's a complete effort with the community.
With a converted movie theatre like this versus a theatre that's built for a live performance purpose, a lot of it is make fit. We're making a lot of things work with a smaller stage space, with limited wing space. So there's a lot of inventiveness that goes on to make productions work. Sometimes we have Arts Club Theatre might come in with a very large set. When they get to our stage, they realize, oh, we have to kind of redesign the set a little bit on the fly because it won't quite fit. Or we have, we have performers that play in concert halls with a 2,000 seat seating capacity, so we have to somehow figure out how to make the show affordable for our 500 seat theater so that our ticket prices aren't over $100, and sometimes we do that by way of donors or sponsors that help support the event. So there's a lot of different ways the community can support the theater. On any given production, if you look in an event program or you talk to the theater personnel that are there, it's surprising how many different places people in the community who aren't necessarily in the production have made it possible for the production to happen. Every single show is like that.
And that's behind the scenes in the theatre. The Old Church Theatre is operated by the Co-Val choristers, and the heart and soul that runs the place is Belle Regier.
The acoustics are the best acoustics probably on the island.
The Old Church Theatre was originally the Catholic Church, built in 1938. In the 90s, it was renovated as a performing arts venue.
Well, it was meant to be a preservation of the building, because it definitely is a significant building in the Comox Valley. And rather than have it bulldozed down, which might have been its demise, people decided to try to preserve it. So we worked with the Catholic community to buy it. We had to fundraise for various things. It wasn't just to purchase the building, but to renovate it. Because once it becomes new ownership, then your building code changes drastically, and so there was a lot of work had to be done on the building. The main company at this point is the Covell Choristers, of course, and right now also Danette Bell's Love to Perform is here on a regular basis, and then other people may rent it. It could be the Festival of Performing Arts, it could be recitals, films, all kinds of weddings in particular. Well, there have been some spectacular performances done on this facility. One of them in particular was Covell Choristers' production of Titanic. With guest performances, we've done a number this past year, which has been, we've had professionals, we've been working with the professionals. And this is Heather Burns, who's been a local girl, and we worked with her in the fall. We just came off of a concert with Glenn Montgomery from Montreal, who's a professional pianist. And we've been working with the professionals. They've taken a good interest in this building, love to perform here. And so in combination with other community performers, they have helped us fundraise.
Community theatre is for everyone, especially for youth. And TheatreWorks has a performance for everyone in a brand new facility.
Theatre is a stepping stone for anything, whether it's work, confidence, social dynamics.
Kim Patrick spearheads theatre at TheatreWorks, and she has a great philosophy for working with youth.
I have a lot of children who have gone through at-risk situations, and this is where they find a comfortable place and rebuild themselves again. As I've seen more technology and more isolation and more the lack of social skills start to come into play, then they have a difficulty experiencing that ability to be creative and to be playful without having self-judgments as well. So I find that students will come and they have to kind of break out of that pattern, and then they start to realize, okay, those social cues that we don't get from being online and that we get it from looking at someone and having a reaction. I make a joke and it's not that funny. I see that reaction, okay, now I can monitor myself. That wasn't appropriate, okay. Or I, want to poke fun at someone else. Oh, wait a second, that didn't come across the way that I thought it was going to. And so they learn those skills. Definitely a big change over the years that I've seen. And the ability to play. I had students who, if they couldn't have, fast-paced action, I was like, well, what's simplicity? What's the beginning, a middle, and an end? And it doesn't have to have guns and chases and car flips and all that kind of thing. What's the story part of it? And that was really hard for them to sort of break into that. I think being a child who just walked a little bit different than other people, I love to make people laugh. Carol Burnett was my hero. But I also found after I started getting involved in theatre that there was an ability to reach people and to move them and to inspire them. And so I started that line. So at the age of 15, I was doing professional theatre. I was very lucky. I toured, I worked theatre, I worked film, I worked commercials and TV, and found that theatre was my strongest love. And I began teaching a little bit out of necessity, finding that there was not as much available, and with following the philosophy that I believed in, was treating everyone respect, because everyone could say, oh, I want to put on a show, but it's how I treat you in that process that is important. I always say that the journey is the most important thing. The end product will come, but not at the expense of someone else's self-esteem or their value. Well, this summer we always have Summer Stage, and Summer Stage is basically 2 programs, one for the juniors, which is ages 5 to 12, and then the older one is from ages 13 to 18, and they come for either a 2 or a 3-week program, and they put on a full production in that time. They come every day, Monday to Friday, and they rehearse. They're assigned a role, and everyone, like I said, has an active role, so they feel a part of it. It becomes a team, and they put on the productions. This year we're testing out a new venue. Right now we're on Moray Avenue, and usually we've been in Gallardi Academy in the summertime. So keep posted, because we're looking at a new venue, but always TheatreWorks will be providing a summer stage opportunity.
Kortney Little Theatre. There's so much happening in theatre in the Comox Valley. Often we see these productions at the Sid, but what happens behind the stage? Gail has been involved with the theatre for 60 years, since 1958, and is involved in every aspect from theatre to directing, acting and costumes.
This set has been designed by Jay Crowder, who does many of our sets, we're happy to say. And I think the most exciting thing about this set is the floor, the linoleum. This linoleum, where do you get original 1930s linoleum like that? Well, because of our very creative bunch, Terry Penny has photocopied 2 squares of linoleum, and it's all been photocopied on paper and glued down and varnished.
And Val McDonald makes sure the theatre comes alive.
The demographics of the valley have changed so much, even in the last 7 years. We're getting quite an influx of people who have had professional careers, who have been very active in community theatre in other communities. And so we're benefiting from this, both from an audience point of view and as attracting members to our club. There's so much talent. It's not by any means all on stage either.
Prop rooms are so exciting. There's so many things. There's jugs and costumes and wigs. Let's go and have a look.
Do you know who I am?
Captain Hook!
Yes, I am. And that jacket was used for 2 particular shows. It's amazing how many times it has been used. It's certainly been used in parades. We have a new way of storing our chairs, which were always being in the way. However, they do cover up all our posters. That's grand, isn't it? That's been used a lot. Yes, lots of our most of our costumes are made right here.
Thanks for watching the theatres in the Comox Valley. There's so much to see and do in the Comox Valley. I'm Kate Brown.